When you look at plastics or styrofoam or even PVC pipes, have you ever really thought about what they're made of? They're all built from these absolutely giant molecules called polymers. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the amazing chemical process that lets us build these massive molecular chains literally one tiny piece at a time. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll kick things off with the big picture, then we'll zoom right in on the nitty-gritty chemical details, and finally, we'll zoom back out to see why all of this really matters. It's a great way to get a handle on this incredible process. All right, let's start with the big idea. What exactly is this method for building molecules? I mean, that's the central question, right? Imagine you have a huge pile of individual Lego bricks, and you need to build a massive, super strong wall. How do you do it? Well, chemistry has a really elegant answer, and it all comes down to linking them together, one by one. And here's that answer. It's called chain growth polymerization. The key phrase here, the one to really remember, is one monomer at a time. This isn't some chaotic process where everything just clumps together all at once. No, this is a controlled, step-by-step addition that builds these unbelievably long and stable chains. I think this analogy is just perfect. Think of it like a molecular conga line. First, you need someone to get the party started. That's our initiator. Then, one by one, all the individual dancers, those are our monomers, join the end of the line, making it longer and longer, until you've got this huge polymer chain. So how does this actually work? How do we build that chain? Well, it turns out that pretty much every chain polymerization reaction follows the same basic three-step recipe, no matter what specific chemicals you're using. And here it is. Super simple, right? Initiation, propagation, and termination. It's the beginning, the middle, and the end. First, you start the conga line. Then you keep adding people to it. And finally, you've got to stop the line from growing forever. And this slide visualizes those three steps perfectly. You can see it right there in the first line. The initiator joins up with the first monomer. That's your initiation. Then, in the second line, that new chain grabs another monomer. That's propagation. And this just keeps on going until eventually the process terminates. Okay, so now that we've got the universal recipe down, we're going to zoom in and focus on what is by far the most common and important type of chain polymerization out there. You can think of chain growth polymerization as a big family with a lot of different branches. Today, we are putting the spotlight on a real star player, free radical polymerization. This thing is an absolute workhorse in the chemical industry. So what in the world is a free radical? Well, it's basically a molecule that has an unpaired electron, and that makes it incredibly unstable and super reactive. The analogy of a hyperactive dancer who desperately needs a partner is perfect. That desperation to pair up is exactly what makes it the ideal spark to get our polymerization reaction going. All right, let's put all the pieces together. We're going to revisit our three steps: initiation, propagation, and termination. But this time, we'll see exactly how our little hyperactive dancer, the free radical, is the one driving the whole show. First up, initiation. This is the moment we create our free radical and it finds its very first dance partner. And this shows exactly how it happens. You start with a stable molecule, like a peroxide, and it splits in two, creating a couple of these highly reactive free radicals. Then one of those radicals attacks a monomer, connects with it, and in the process turns that monomer into a new radical. And just like that, the chain reaction has begun. Okay, on to propagation. Now that the first link is in place, the chain reaction can really take off. This is the heart of the whole process, right here. That brand new monomer radical is now just as reactive as the original one. So what does it do? It attacks another monomer, adds it to the chain, and passes that reactive radical site, that unpaired electron, to the very end. It's like a game of chemical hot potato, where the hot spot keeps getting passed to the end of the growing chain, allowing it to grab more and more monomers. But of course, this can't go on forever. All good parties have to come to an end, and the chain has to stop growing. This step is called termination. So, termination usually happens in one of two ways. The first one is pretty straightforward. It's called combination. The reactive ends of two growing chains just happen to find each other, link up, and boom, you get one much longer, stable chain. The second way, disproportionation, is a little more dramatic. In this one chain actually rips a hydrogen atom off of another one. This neutralizes both chains and leaves you with two separate stable polymers. So why do we just dive so deep into all that chemistry? Well, let's zoom back out and see how this whole mechanism connects to the real world. Okay, so let's just recap the key rules of this game. First, you absolutely need an initiator to kick things off. Second, the monomers get added one at a time, so you see their concentration go down nice and steady. But what's really cool is that you get these super long, high molecular weight polymer chains formed almost instantly. That means even if you let the reaction run for a long time to get a lot of product, the chains you make are long and strong right from the get-go. And this, right here, is where it all comes together. We can use the exact same free radical process, the same 3 steps, but by just swapping out the starting monomer, we can create this incredible variety of materials. You start with styrene, you get polystyrene, foam cups and packaging. You start with vinyl chloride, you get PVC, the stuff your pipes are made of. It all depends on what that starting monomer looks like. It's the same chemical dance, just with different dancers. This fundamental process has literally built the modern world that's all around us, from the simplest packaging to the most advanced materials. And it really leaves you with a fascinating question. Now that we've truly mastered the art of making these molecular chains, what amazing new materials are we going to build with them next?